I figured I'd make a video today showing a basic repair to a stomper. I've never done one start to finish. So I figure we'll try that today and see how it goes. This one, see, it's on. Nothing happens, not getting a light. Tried all the tricks, tapping it and all that. So odds are there's a wire that's come loose. I tried cleaning the contacts, see if it was that, it wasn't that. So what we're gonna do is open this up and see what we got. First thing I'll do is show you some of the tools I use. This is a rewire light, which you can get those off of eBay. You get like 50 of them for like 12 bucks. I've went through like 3 packs of them so far. 3-in-1 electrical oil. It's good for small motors and that. Wire strippers, Dremel, side cuts. This is a jumper I made. I mean, you can buy these anywhere, but it's kind of nice to have double, give it a little more juice when you're bringing a motor back to life. And then screwdrivers, pliers, X-Acto. When I crack my stompers open, I do a little bit different. It's probably not the best way to do it, but it's the easiest way I found to do it. I have 3 soldering irons. I have one I use for melting plastic and stuff like that, and then I have one I use for electrical. But what I do, instead of trying to cut this little tab down here so I don't break this one, you got to get rid of both of these. A lot of people use X-Acto knives. I'm not good enough with them. I'll end up cutting myself or something. So what I do is I just put a little pressure on the motor cover and then just tap that little plastic thing, and see, it just pops right up. The front one's usually a lot harder to do, especially when they got the brush guard on them. So back one will be pretty easy. So just put a little bit of pressure. Works best if you do it like this and don't touch yourself, because it will leave a mark. It helps if you get it above the clip there. So we got that one open. Let's see what we got here. So see, our clips are still good, and we can still, if you want, you can touch out with a little, when you put it back together, and hold that on, but I usually don't mess with that. Actually, motor everything looks really good in here, which kind of sucks because I was wanting to solder. So I'm guessing the motor, well, we're probably gonna have to replace the light. So let's see if we can get the motor going first. Doesn't really matter which way you put them on here. Let's see. Can't get them going. I put the negative in on the contact. And I'll hold this one here. And I just spin with my finger until it takes off. Sometimes they won't take off. There it goes. I'll let it sit and run for a little bit, get up in the RPMs. Okay, so then I'll take and I'll put just a little bit of oil in here. A little bit of oil there. And get it, go down in there. And then start it up again. Okay, motor's good, but our light isn't, so unfortunately we're going to have to replace the light, which is good. That's what I was wanting to show. I'm no expert at soldering. I've done it a bunch. I've gotten a little bit better, but so first thing we're going to do is take this little screw out right here. Set that off to the side. Usually I'll just pull up on these wires. So first thing we got to do is we can save this red wire, so don't touch this one here. Don't touch that one. That one's kind of tricky to solder, so we'll just take it off from there. We'll still use this wire. A lot of times they'll come loose here, and all you gotta do is solder that back on, and you get your light and everything back. We didn't get that lucky on this one. We gotta put a new light on it. So set that off the side. What I'm gonna do is get my soldering iron, and all you gotta do is touch it right here a little bit. Pull that off, and then flip this over and touch this one. And they're both off. Now we really don't have to do anything with this wire. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it off a little better, just so it goes on there. And what I'll do is I'll take my Dremel and I'll clean this contact up real good. It's still a little warm. But just get some bare copper on there so it gets a good connection when you solder it. Sometimes you might want to touch it up right here where you're going to solder on there. This is kind of the tricky part. I've tried to make a gauge for this so I can get them the exact size every time, but it's never right, and I usually have a lot more left than what I want. Basically, you need one that's about this long and one that's about this long, because you have to go from here to the outside case of the motor, and then from here to the tab, which doesn't have to be as long, but it does have to fit down in there and back behind there, and you don't want it getting wrapped up in the gears, so you don't want it too long. So I cut the short one about maybe 3/4 of an inch, and then go maybe not quite double that on that one. And what you can do is kind of hold your right here and see how that's probably a little long, so I'm gonna take just a little bit off, maybe 1/8 of an inch, and strip your wires. Go ahead and strip both of them. So then first thing I do, I flip the motor around this way, get a piece of solder. What I do is I hold the wire in place with the soldering iron and then just touch it with the solder. And then just hold the wire till it cools and hardens. Okay, that one's good. So then the next thing I do is I kind of flip this up a little bit, and I try and tie these together. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. Sometimes you have to make it a little longer, a little more. So then I'm going to wire these together. It doesn't have to really be perfect or anything. It's just basically to hold them together so you can do them both at the same time. So once I get that, I flip the motor. Now this is the tricky part. You gotta make sure you get you gotta remember the tab will be in there like this. Your motor's connected like that. So what I do is I lay it down, and then I set the motor kind of on top of it, and it's the same thing. I just set it right here, hold it with that, and then use my piece of solder. And then hold it so it stays in there till it cools. That's that. So now what I'll do, let it cool for just a second. Now you're gonna go back and get your screw. It helps if you got a magnetic screwdriver. These have been magnetized because of the tool holder I have. But what I'm going to do is hold that like that and put that in that. Snug it up. And then put your motor in. And set the bulb in there and just kind of push the bulb down a little bit. Be careful not to break it. See how you got this extra wire here? I just kind of You don't want it up under that gear, so you gotta pull it out of ways a little bit. There you go, like that. You can put the motor cover on. I usually just go ahead and put it on. A lot of people like to test them before you do, but if it's not right, we haven't messed it up, so we can pull it apart pretty easily. So I always turn it off first. So get your battery, stick your battery in there, and I'll push that light down in when I know for sure it works. But there it is. That was a Stomper light replacement and getting it going. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.